Hello, welcome to class 12 Business Studies, chapter 5, Organizing Explanation, part 5. In these explanations, we will be covering the following contents. They are decentralization, centralizations and decentralizations, and the importance of decentralizations. But before we start with this, let me tell you what does decentralization means. Decentralization means distributions of functions and powers. Now in business term, decentralization refers to the delegations of authority throughout all the levels of the organizations. As we all already know the meaning of delegations, delegation means transferring of authority from the higher level to the subordinates. So that was the meaning of decentralizations, or in other term we can also say it refers to the systematic delegations or disposal of authority at all the levels of the management and in all departments of the organizations. So that is the meaning of decentralizations. So so I have sent you all some examples based on the decentralizations. You can look at it very carefully. So or else even if you don't understand this, I have more of the definitions on actually what does decentralization means. In other words, we can also say decentralizations reduced stress and burden on senior management, with greater job satisfactions for the subordinates. Subordinates may have better local knowledge. Delegation increases flexibility and responsiveness to change. Decentralizations can be used to train managers, and decentralizations may lead to improved control. And like I explained to you earlier, decentralizations is a systematic delegations of authority at all levels of management and in all of the organization. In a decentralization, concern authority is retained by the top management for taking major decisions and framing policies concerning the whole concern. So the main role is played by the top level management, and the rest of the authority may be delegated to the middle level and lower levels of management. If there is a proper decentralization, then that will play a greater role in making a quick decision making. There will be a executive development and also development of managerial skills, relieves top management, facilitates growth, and also there is a better control and effective communication. Some of the advantages or importance of decentralizations are: decentralizations helps in improving the quality of the decisions or decisions making at the top level management. Decentralizations facilitates diversifications of activities. Decentralization encourages development of the managerial personnel. Decentralization improves motivation within organizations. Decentralization makes decision making quicker and better, which I had already explained earlier. And decentralization provides opportunity to learn by doing it. And let me also tell you some limitations of decentralization. Decentralizations may lead to the problem of coordinations at the levels of an enterprise, as the decision making authority is not concentrated. Decentralization may lead to inconsistencies, that is, absence of uniformity at the organization level. Decentralization is costly as it raises administrative expenses on account of requirements of trained personnel to accept authority at lower levels. And now let me also tell you some objectives of decentralization. Objectives are: decentralizations are flexible, motivates and boosts morale, also helps in prompt decision making, reduces the burden of management, development of managerial personnel, and also effective control and supervision. So this was the explanations on what is actually decentralization means. And I hope this explanation of decentralizations were very clear to you all. Now next is what is actually a centralization means. Centralizations is said to be a process where the concentrations of decision making, all the important decisions and actions at the lower level, all subject and actions at the lower level are subject to the approval of the top management. So according to Allen, centralizations is the systematic and consistent reservations of authority at central point in the organization. Now it is very clear that decentralization refers to the authority transferring of authority to every levels of the organizations, whereas centralizations refers to the transfer of authority given only to few hands. And some of the advantages of centralizations are: it provides opportunity for new managers to develop personal leadership, it facilitates integrations of efforts of all parts of the organization. In centralizations, the authority is given to only a few hands, so because of that, duplications of effort and activities are avoided. Emergencies can be handled fastly by quick decisions and prompt actions because lesser the people, more the prompt work. So it facilitates product growth and diversification. This means lesser the people, faster the job is created. So there is a healthy work in the centralizations than the decentralization. So this is how the centralization and decentralization works. These are the examples of centralizations and decentralization, how it works in an organization. So the differences between centralized and decentralized are: under the centralized, transportation cost relatively high, whereas in decentralization, transportation costs are relatively low. Under the centralized, economics of scale non-adaptable to waste reduction, whereas in decentralized, the local matter is a local resources adaptable to the reductions. Under the centralized, low quality compost, whereas under decentralized, it's a high quality compost. Under the centralized, needs advanced technology, whereas in decentralized, simple technology is enough for it. Under the centralized, they have a large facilities, whereas in decentralized, there is a small facilities. In centralized, high treatment cost, and under the decentralized, low treatment cost takes place. And these are some of the examples how centralized and decentralized takes place in an organizations. Look at the pictures very carefully, how centralized versus decentralized takes place in an organizations. Now let me explain some of the differences between the centralization and decentralizations. Under the basis, there are meaning, authority, suitable, and freedom. So under the decentralizations, first I'll be telling you only about the centralizations. After that, I'll be explaining about the decentralizations. So under the centralizations, it refers to the concentration of power at high level only, whereas in decentralizations, the powers are distributed at every levels of management, which we had discussed earlier. Under the authority, under the basis of authority under centralizations, top management retains the maximum authority. That means under the centralizations, the maximum authority is taken by the top level management, and then middle, bottom level are having low authorities. Whereas in decentralization, authority is systematically divided at every level of organizations. Under the basis of suitability under centralizations, it is suitable only for small size organizations where being the whereas in decentralizations where the activity takes place at every level of management, so it is suitable for large scale organizations. So under the basis of freedom under centralizations, managers they have less freedom of actions, where in decentralizations managers they have more freedom of actions. Now let us come to the importance of decentralizations. Under this, there are 6 points. First one is develops initiative among subordinates. Second, develops managerial talent for the future. Third, quick decision making. Fourth, relief to top management. Fifth, facilitates growth. Sixth, that is the last point, better control. So now let us go in detail about the importance of decentralizations. First, let us discuss what is develops initiative among subordinates. Means, see, okay, decentralizations they help to promote self-reliance and confidence among the subordinates. So this is because when the lower managerial levels are given freedom to take their own decisions, they are free to make their own decisions, and also they learn to depend on their own judgment as well. And it also keeps them in a state where they are constantly challenged and have to develop solutions for the various problems that they encounter. So decentralization policies helps to identify those executives who have the necessary potential to become the good leader or a dynamic leaders. Second is develops managerial talent for the future. Okay, so the formal training plays a very vital role or plays an important part in equipping subordinates with skills which which helps them to rise in the organizations, but also equally important in the experience gained by the handling of assignments independently. Decentralization gives them a chance to prove their abilities, to prove themselves, and creates a reservoir of qualified manpower who can be considered to fill up more challenging positions through promotions. So promotion also helps them in motivating also. It also helps to identify those who may not be successful in assuming greater responsibilities. Thus it means of management educations as well as an opportunity for trained manpower to use its talent in real life situation as well. So there should be a proper training. And another one is the third point, quick decision making. So the management hierarchy can be looked upon as a chain of communication. So in centralized organizations excuse me, every decisions are taken by the top level management, so the flow of the information is slow as it has to pass many levels or cross many levels. So response also takes time. So step by step they have to, the communication needs to travel down step by step, so it takes a lot of time, and response also takes more time. So this reduces the speed of decisions making in case of centralizations. Okay, whereas in a decentralization organization, however, since decisions are taken at every level of management, which are nearest to the point of actions, and there is no requirement for the approval from many levels. So this process is much faster under decentralizations. So there are also less chance of information getting distorted because it doesn't have to go through a long channel. So there is a less chances of miscommunications in decentralizations. So the next is relief to top management. Means under this, decentralizations is required to reduce the burden of the top executives when it increases due to the increase in the size and complexity of the organizations. So in a decentralized organizations, the top executives, they have enough time to plan ahead, because decentralizations is a means where we have already discussed. I have been telling you several times, decentralizations means giving the authority at every level of management. So with this we can understand that decentralizations helps to reduce the burden of the top executive, so that they have enough time to plan ahead, develop new strategies, and concentrate on coordinations and control, since they are not burdened by the routine problems and complexities of administrative details. So in fact, decentralizations is the greatest when checking required on decisions which are taken by the lower levels of management is least. Now next is, that is the fifth point, facilitates growth. Under this, decentralizations award greater autonomy to the lower levels of management as well as divisional or departmental heads. So this allows them to function in a manager function in a manner which are best suited to their departments, and foster a sense of competitions among the departments, to motivate them and also to let them come up with new innovations and new ideas. So consequently, with each and every department doing its best in a bid of outdo the others, the productivity levels increases and the organizations are able to generate more returns which can be used for the expansion purposes. So the next, that is the last point, is the better control. So under this, decentralization makes it possible to evaluate the performance at each levels, and the departments can be individually held accountable for their results or answerable to their results, the extent of achievement of organization objectives, as well as the contributions of each department in meeting the overall objectives can be ascertained. So under the better control, the most important thing is the feedbacks. So feedbacks from all levels helps to analyze variance and improve the operations. So in decentralizations, one of the challenges is the accountability of performance. That means you should be honest and answerable towards the performance that you show or that you perform. So in response to these challenges, better control systems are being evolved, such as the balanced scorecard and management information system. So this was the importance of decentralizations. Now with this we have come to the end of this chapter 5, organizing.